Welcome to the Hokie Hoops podcast, brought to you by State Farm. Whether it's house, boat, car, or renter's insurance, whatever you need, the Andrews have you covered. You can email insurance@sonsofsaturday.com and they will get you connected with a State Farm agent. I'm your host, Pete B. I've got Ed Williams here. I've got Mike McDaniel. How you guys feeling?
Fantastic. This is the sixth time I've pressed record on StreamYard today, all hoops related. So it's been a marathon. There'll be all kinds of content coming on the feeds here soon. I know you two have been very busy with your football obligations. Obviously, it's James Franklin week, so you guys have been a little bit underwater as well. But we're 5-0. The girls are 5-0. It's been a good week.
I told my wife, I said, Kate, I don't need to be glued to my phone anymore. It's over. It's over. It's done. I don't know how people who do like the reporting regularly, I don't know how they do that all the time. I'd be exhausted.
My wife's name is also Kate. And earlier today, I started a conversation. She goes, she stopped me right away and said, "Is this going to be about football?" I was like, you know what? I maybe need to take a second here and back up.
I was listening to a podcast this morning, and Kate said, Is this another football coach podcast you're listening to? I said, yes, it is.
Yes, it is. It never stops. But you know what? We're here to talk about basketball. We have a 5-0 basketball team. They are top 60 in the Ken Pom. We haven't recorded since the big Providence win. Me and Ed recapped that one for you guys. So we have three different games to talk about here, and we're going to go in chronological order, and then we're going to preview the battle for Atlantis, which is coming up over Thanksgiving weekend. We're all excited about that. The best game that happened was St. Joe's. We'll start there. 94-59. We got out on this team early, Ed, and 47-27 at the half, over 50% from the field in the first half. What was going right in the St. Joe's game, especially early?
This will be a theme throughout all the game recaps, but it's been interesting to keep an eye on pace with this team. And this team, unlike most Coach Young teams, wants to run. And they were able to run all over St. Joe's, and St. Joe's could not keep up with the firepower that the Hokies had to offer. The Providence game was super high scoring. That was also pace related. Same with Charleston Southern before that, and St. Joe's. When this team is able to grab a ball off the rim and turn and get it up the floor in a hurry, they're filling it up. So St. Joe's just didn't have the guns to keep up with that kind of offensive pressure, and it was a pretty resounding win for Virginia Tech.
St. Joe's turned it over 19 times, so that helped a lot.
12
a lot of live ball turnovers.
12 steals for the Hokies. Yeah. Like they you're right, Ed. They were grabbing balls, 21 fast break points in this one, and we didn't even shoot well from three in the first half, and we still had a 20-point lead at the half. We scored another 47 points in the second half to make it 94. But we actually shot better. Like, we were better from three, better from the field in the second half against St. Joe's. 6 guys in double figures. Amani was really good in this game. 19 points, 7 assists for Neo, 50% shooting. Anything else that stood out to you? I mean, we talked about the steals, but like our turnovers, taking care of the ball, Mike, I thought, like, again, here was a great example of that being so much better this season.
Yeah, I mean, taking care of the ball, and then you mentioned the steals number being what it was. I mean, having 12 steals in the game, right? So if you're taking care of the ball and then you're forcing turnovers the way they did, that's going to be a winning recipe, even if you're not shooting the ball well, right? Which Tech, again, shot it much better in the second half, but first half didn't shoot it great from three, especially. Still hold a 20-point lead, and it really helps when you're defending like that.
Yeah, there was the one play in this game. Like, every game has like a couple really cool plays just because we have athletes. But that Neo, like, 3 swipe block, and then he, like, shot it up the floor to Hammond, who then alley-ooped it to Hansberry. Wasn't the cleanest dunk by Amani, but it went down and the place erupted. That was pretty cool. Anything else from St. Joe's? I mean, this is a team that we lost to bad last year. I think you were talking about this in the space after the game, Ed. So this was a little shocking, I thought, because they're not a bad team.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have some of the same guys they had. We obviously have upgraded in the talent department, but it's like almost a 60-point swing year over year. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, I mean, causing turnovers and having good defensive possessions leading to missed shots allows for rebounds, allows for pushing the ball. And when this team's getting up and down, they're really tough to defend. When you have guys like Neo and Ben Hammond running up the wings on fast breaks, making decisions, Those are guys you'll take making decisions all night long. So, yeah, pretty resounding win.
So in the Charlotte game, we won 84-76, but it wasn't pretty. And with about 8 minutes left, we only had a 1-point lead on this team. Now, they're not, I wouldn't say they're some disaster team. Like, they're not a bad team, but I was getting a little uncomfortable with how this was shaking out. Mike, what was going wrong? Like, I couldn't quite put my finger on, like, why weren't we winning by more? I couldn't, like, even looking at the stats after the game, I couldn't really figure it out.
Yeah, the box score doesn't really tell you everything that went on in this game, I would say. I didn't think Virginia Tech guarded as well as the stats might indicate in this one. I think that was a piece of it. And then offensively, it was just kind of clunky, you know? You finished the game with 84 points, but it felt like Charlotte was just like a short burst away the entire game from taking the lead and really having you in trouble. I don't know. It was kind of a weird pace game too. Like Charlotte slowed it down a little bit. Tech was a little bit out of their element. It felt like it was a weird one. I was a little uncomfortable throughout. I think I texted you guys at the end. I'm like, all right, like
just move on.
Just move on. Just flush it and move on.
Do you think some of it was like because we looked so good against St. Joe's that it was like that was part of the shock of it? Or was it did you guys have in your mind before the game like Charlotte's bad, we should smoke this team? I was worried about the letdown at St. Joe's. I really wasn't worried about Charlotte whatsoever.
Go ahead, Mike.
I would say, yeah, I was worried a little bit more about St. Joe's than Charlotte. I did not think we were going to smoke St. Joe's, right? I thought that, or I didn't think we'd smoke Charlotte, excuse me. Thought Charlotte would keep it semi-competitive, but this was a little bit too close for comfort. A lot of guys in foul trouble too, like Hansberry fouls out, Tyler Johnson fouls out. And I think one thing that we're likely going to talk about tonight is the depth of this team. Like Hansberry obviously didn't play last night, and the depth in the front court is pretty thin. If Dorn isn't going to play well, it's going to be kind of a tough proposition. So, you know, I think this team's talented, but I think when you got guys kind of coming on and off the floor, it's tough. Hansberry had a really rough night against Charlotte after playing so well against St. Joe's, and then to be in foul trouble pretty much the whole game made it really, really difficult. So, it was one of those games where it seemed like a bunch of guys were just kind of a little bit off, and Charlotte was very competitive in this one. So I think you're just happy to get out of there with a win.
The guys that played well, Toby had a double-double. I'm not saying it was a perfect performance, but he had 18 and 15 and he had 3 blocks. And then thank God for Jalen Bedford coming over.
Yeah.
Because this kid, up until the Bryant game, he was balling. 21 points against Charlotte. If Bedford and Toby don't have that game, like we very well might have dropped it. Like it was that much in the balance, I thought. And after this game, I mean, on the season, like again, prior to Bryant, like Jalen was shooting like 60% from the field on the season, Ed. Like he's been such a pleasant surprise. And Hansberry, as Mike was saying, 1 for 7. Johnson was 1 for 6. Like that's not going to happen very often. Like it's just not.
I was quickly pulling this together while Mike was talking. Look, we played 5 games, right? 2 of them, I would say fans left underwhelmed. The Charlotte game and the Bryant game. And the 3 really positive results everybody felt great about: Providence, Charleston Southern, and St. Joseph's. There's a very clear difference that I just pulled together super fast just looking at box scores. Kind of on a hunch, back to my pace topic. But against Charlotte and Bryant, we shot the ball 60 and 58 times. And those other 3 games, we shot it 73, 79, and 76 times. That's a tremendous difference in terms of shot attempts. That alludes to pace, and that shows, because the 2 sleepy results were the recent ones, what teams are going to try to do to the Hokies, which is shorten the game and pack it in and not let them get out and run the ball, which is so different than what we're accustomed to. Yeah. And I'm sure a lot of time in Hahn-Hurst over the next week is spent on the half-court offense to try to alleviate some of that. But yeah, in the 3 positive results, we averaged 76 shot attempts. In the 2 wins that were less convincing, we averaged 59. That's 17 shots different. That's a huge number of shot attempts. That's a huge number of offensive possessions. And that's the difference between blowing a team's doors off and a lesser talented team being able to hang around is you're just shortening the game. It's as simple as that.
And in the Bryant game, I felt like, because we won that one 78-61, although the score was a wider margin than the way that game played out. It was within 10 points just about the entire game. And at the end of the half, we did put on a nice run. We went on like 11-0 run to have a 28-20 lead at the half. And I was like, okay, now we're good. And that's not how it played out. And not having Hansberry was a big deal. But Toby, again, had a double-double. He added a block and a steal. But 3 turnovers for him. A few more turnovers than we're used to. Still not a bad night, but I think we had 10 in the game?
10, yeah.
What did you think about Neo in the Bryant game, Ed?
I was texting Chris Arvin, and he brought up a good point. It kind of felt like maybe Neo was trying to put on a show, like a little bit of showmanship. I don't know. I don't think he was, because I just think he's a basketball player who's always going to make the right play. But I think the way Bryant was defending in that first half was super frustrating, especially not having Amani. I mean, what they were doing essentially was daring you to throw it into a post player playing with a one-on-one matchup. The right basketball play every time in the first 10 minutes of that game was for whoever the guard was, primarily Neo, to dump it into the post to Antonio Dorn, who was one-on-one with no one around him. And that they were doing that, to me, it seemed deliberately, and we weren't able to capitalize on it. So Neo was making the right plays like he's always going to do, because that's the kind of basketball player he is. But he was not able to get his own offense going just because of the way they were playing defense and just so extended. Bryant, to their credit, very long and athletic team, could switch everything, which makes the ball handling or the pick and roll stuff that Neo's so good at a little bit different, because all they're just going to do is switch. So Neo's not an athlete who's going to create his space off of the bounce. He's creating his space off of being super knowledgeable about angles and how to come off of a screen correctly to just get that half step, to get the guy on your back, and then all of a sudden it's go time and I'm just playing 2-on-1. And they can switch everything. That makes it a lot harder. And he's not someone who's just going to blow you away off the bounce the way Ben Hammond was in the second half of the Bryant game.
Ben Hammond was great in this game.
Yeah, they could not guard Ben Hammond in the second half.
No.
And his defense too. I mean, he gets his hands on freaking everything. Did he have another 3 steals in this one? I mean, I
actually asked him about that earlier. Sneak peek. One of the interviews I did was Ben Hammond today. And I said, do you guys track tipped balls? Because they don't show up in the stat sheet, only steals do. But I swear every night at the end of the night, I go to look and I expect you to have 17 steals and you only got like 3. And he's like, no, we track them. I keep an eye on it. So it is something that they pay attention to in the building, and there's nobody better at getting their hand on the ball than Ben Hammond.
And he had more assists than Neo in this one. He was 11, 6, and 3. Just the 1 turnover for Ben, which is nice to see. No one really shot it great in the last 2 games. Neo has had a bad 2 games of shooting. He was 1 of 5 from 3. Best play of the game was probably the windmill dunk from Bryant. Mike, did you see that thing?
Yeah.
It was on SportsCenter today at number 2.
It was pretty good. It was like a low pass and just unbelievable dunk.
That was sick. We did have our own alley-oop, though.
Toby should have had the best dunk of the game, and he missed it. That reverse was disgusting, and he missed it.
Yeah. He did have that one with like 7.5 minutes left on the feed from Neo, which was fun. But again, this one was more concerning to me because Brian it's not as if like, oh, well, maybe they're actually good this year and the preseason predictions were wrong. No, they're not very good. They're 1-4 now. And I guess it was the matchup because you said about Dorn, like he didn't have a good game. Gerdak, I have super high hopes for Gerdak because he came in there and was leading us with points it's amazing. I hope that he is going to be playable in ACC play because we're going to need him.
Well, Coach Young in the postgame said Christian Gerdak will be the first big off the bench in the Bahamas. So
there you go.
I don't see why not. I thought he held his own really well defensively too. I mean, they were pulling him out to the perimeter several times, and he had a couple of cheap fouls like when he first got in the game, and then he was pretty pretty good after that. Like he
My
figured it out
man,
quickly.
my man's footwork and head fakes are second to none. It's very Tim Duncan offensive approach. He's very vertically challenged. He ain't
Yes.
like I think Coach Young said in the post game, he said he can jump about as high as David Teal, but his
That's gold.
his ability to get the other guy off the ground with the fakes and stuff, his footwork's fantastic.
Yeah, well, I would also assume he's a freshman. He's a big freshman. He's going to be one of those guys who comes back sophomore year, like slim down, and but that's not who he is right now. And we're going to need him because there's still a long way to go and guys can develop, and he's came over to a new country, but like, I'm not sure how much we're going to get out of Dorn early on in this year right now. It was a little concerning what we saw. And so let's hope that the front court gets, comes along. that's how I'll say. So let's talk about just the concerns. We've gone through 5 games. We've got Bahamas coming up. Like, what are the concerns, Ed? Like, what is standing out to you with this team that's could give us issues in Atlantis?
Like I said, man, I did 5 interviews today with people on the team or on the staff, and I asked that question to everybody. And not once did I get like we need to get better at this. It was all just we need to gel a little bit more and it'll all work itself out. Like all they want to do is play more together and get more reps together, and they feel like they'll work it all out. And it's hard to argue with that. From the outside looking in perspective, my first thought there would be the post depth. Maybe you found something there with Gerdak, and no matter what, when you play 3 games in 3 days, Gerdak, Dorn, they're all gonna have to play. So that is just what it is. But long term, maybe you found something there with Gerdak. I guess if I really had to nitpick, it'd be the half court offense. Just the ability to get your shots off and get good looks in the half court and execute your stuff. I think that would be the biggest area of concern. But my third reference to the post-game press conference in 3 minutes here, like Coach Young said, if half court offense or offense in general is the thing he's most concerned with, he's going to sleep really well at night, and I will too.
Yeah, Mike, what do you think? Like, because I'm looking at just some, like, because I think what Ed said in terms of they need to get incrementally better everywhere, and like things will come along. What are you seeing that you'd like to see improve if we're going to win a game or 2 down in the Bahamas?
This might sound nitpicky. Neo defensively, I'd like to see a little bit of a step forward. A couple times, and I don't know how much of this. We'll see with more data, right? But I don't know how much of this was Hansberry being out of the lineup last night. But there were a couple times where Neo got beat backdoor, and it was almost like he was expecting somebody to be there, and either Dorn or Gerdak was not. I'm almost wondering, okay, like, is that just the comfortability with Amani usually there? It was almost like he was passing somebody off, and he was passing him to nobody. So he got beat backdoor a couple times. So that's like a minor concern. But yeah, I mean, half court offense. Okay. I mean, I think this team's going to just try to play with pace. And I think in ACC play, it's going to be tough. I think in Bahamas, it could be tough if, defensively gets slowed down a little bit. Post depth is a concern, right? Yeah. Like Hansberry, it sounds like he's just nicked up. He'll be okay. But they got to get more out of Dorn. And like Ed said, like Dorn's going to have to play in the Bahamas. He's going to have to play better than he did against Bryant. So, because you're not you can't expect Gerdak to give you 15. I mean, maybe we can. That'd be an incredible development, but like we can't probably rely on Gerdak to give us 15 and 8 every night. You know what I mean? Off the bench. So,
Sam said this on the 2 Deep show last night. Is it possible that Amani is more important to the success of this team than Neo? And maybe that should be framed a little bit better, like important to the floor of this team.
I think he impacts different things. To the floor, okay, yeah, maybe. To the floor, I see what you're saying.
But the upside, you need Neo.
Yeah, right? You need Neo.
Like that's kind of what I was saying. Yeah.
I can see that.
I
think his impact. I think he impacts the game. I think he I think Ben Hammond, I think Tyler Johnson impact the game impact winning in ways that don't appear in a box score.
Yes, totally agree.
I think
Amani's a presence.
I think you have more. Neo's such a complete player, so like I don't want this to come off as bad as this kind of sound, but I think you have more answers from a roster standpoint if Neo goes out of the lineup than you do if Hansberry does.
I
right?
agree
Like,
with that. Yes,
and that's probably speaking to the floor part of this argument, right? That we're all kind of in agreement with. It's like you saw, right, with Amani out of the lineup last night. It was like, all right, Dorn's got to give you something, and if Dorn doesn't give you something, Gerdak's got to give you something. And if Gerdak doesn't give you anything, you have nothing in the post.
Mm-hmm.
That's like if Neo is removed from the floor, right? Neo comes off the floor, and you're going to Ben Hammond. You feel pretty good about Ben Hammond being out there, being your primary ball handler. You know, that's not like a major concern. Now, Ben Hammond's a really good defender for his size. He seems to always be, we were texting about this last night, all of us, like he seems to always be making the right play. His passing's unbelievable. He's a good shooter. They couldn't guard him. And Hammond, in my opinion, like Gerdak was unbelievable last night and had a great game. And you don't win that game without him, but you really don't win the game without Ben Hammond last night. Like Ben Hammond,
he was the best player on the floor, and it wasn't even close.
Best player on the floor in the second half. I mean, took the game over, and that's how you got your separation.
I don't know how many times he got fouled. I should have pulled this up before. I should have asked him earlier today, but I swear to God, he got fouled like every other trip in the second half because they could not guard him. Like they were just going right around people. Yeah. He's too fast, man. That kid's a special player.
And to the point about pulling Neo off the floor and going to Hammond, you can also, like, Bedford could handle the ball a little bit. Mm-hmm. You could put in Pasha. Like, we haven't seen Pasha a ton, but like he was a point guard last year. Like there are at least there's a little bit more there in terms of, handling the ball. I would say my concerns, like the shooting is a concern with Neo because it was a concern going into the year. He had that great Providence game. He shot like 50% the next game, but it hasn't been so good the last couple games. And the free throw shooting is also like, why is our free throw shooting not like shooting like 70% right now? One of the games was particularly bad, and maybe that's fine. It's just a bad couple games, but those are some of my concerns. The turnovers are not. We have the 8th best assist to turnover ratio in the country.
Yeah. No, the assist to turnover thing.
Hammond's like 13-1, isn't he? Hammond's
is out of control. Yeah. Hammond's is out of control. It's what you'd expect of a team with. I mean, I think somebody asked Coach Young that in the presser, and he said, "I have better players." Like that was his answer. When you have
20 to 3, 20 assists to 3 turnovers for Ben.
That's crazy. And the one last night was a complete head scratcher. Like I saw Coach Young's body language. He was like, "What?" Like it was just like a really weird play that Ben Hammond doesn't make. To the Neo point on the shooting stuff, like I don't even really worry about it because he's making shots he should make. He's missing hard shots.
You're right.
He's taking a lot of hard shots. And maybe that's something that will maybe work its way out of his game as he gets more and more comfortable with college basketball. But the shots he's missing are hard shots. Like he's missing fallaways and step backs. It's not like he's missing, catch and shoot. His one catch and shoot last night on the kick out from Gerdak on the offensive rebound, he drilled it. So the shooting, I think they just need to find ways to get him better shots than some of the shots they've gotten him against these two poorer opponents in the last 2 games.
I also think we should get more shots for Jaden Shoot. The kid's shooting 50% from 3 right now. He's been really good this year. We haven't really mentioned him much. He's kind of just like fitting himself in, which is great. Like when we have all these, like we actually have a team with good players, you got to fit in. And he's doing that, but I think we should run more plays for him.
He's playing better defense than he's played prior, and he is very comfortable in his role offensively. I think he's going to pop one of these 3 games in Atlantis. He's going to pop.
Yeah, I think that could be right. Well, let's take a second to talk about our sponsor before we get to Atlantis. As I said at the beginning, Hokie Hoops is brought to you by State Farm. The Andrews over at State Farm, they can hook you up. And I talked about the renter's insurance, and for college kids, if you're listening, you go to tech, like it can be important. I know, like we insure my wife's engagement ring through State Farm, and they're great to work with. And if you have any questions, you want to get connected, insurance@sonsofsaturday.com, They will connect you. They will be right there for you. If you need new car insurance, you're looking for a quote on a house, a boat, whatever. Send an email. We'll get you hooked up, and they'll take care of you. What is it? Like a good neighbor. State Farm is there. Everyone knows that. Roback code. I also want to point to this. It's on the screen. Hoops 20. This is a new Roback code. Our listeners can get 20% off. Ed's rocking the hoodie using code Hoops 20. They got the hoodies. They got the polos. Any school, you got 2 different schools in the house. They probably got both of them. Load up your cart. Roback Crave Activity. Use code Hoops20 for 20% off.
This black hoodie is like the best thing they've ever made.
We're all kind of wearing the same thing.
Yeah,
although Ed's the only one in actual Roback.
We kind of are. No, this black one is the best. They have the 2 new heavier ones, the gray crew neck and the black hoodie. The Roback gear kills it, man.
Yeah, they're good. I do really like their hoodies. They're so soft and nice. Battle for Atlantis, fellas. There are 8 teams going down to this thing. We're on one side of the bracket with Colorado State, Wichita State, St. Mary's. On the other side, Western Kentucky, Vandy, VCU, and USF. Our first game is Wednesday, the night before Thanksgiving. Hopefully everyone will be where they got to be. You'll be ready to watch the game at 5 p.m. And it's actually on a channel. It's on ESPNU. It's not on the mothership or anything, but we are on a real channel. Although I will say Ed was dead on with the Hulu thing. They have all of the games just right in the Hulu app if you have the live TV. Now, I don't think
the best.
It's pretty sweet for like these basketball games.
Yeah, for all these for basketball, if you care about like Hokies wrestling, Hokies baseball later in the year, like ESPN Plus being on the same thing that you watch television on is very nice.
Yeah, it's actually pretty cool. Although I currently have both because YouTube got the deal done. So now I'm like quad boxing on one, watching the Bryant game on the other. I got to do something about this. I got to cancel one of these things.
You better whisper it before your wife hears you.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, she was mad when they canceled it because she wanted GMA, and so now it's we're now we're back. All right, Colorado State, number 51 in the Ken Palm. This is a good shooting team, and they've got one of our former players who happens to be shooting the ball at a pretty good clip, and Brandon Rechsteiner. What are your thoughts on Colorado State?
Brandon Rechsteiner could shoot the ball. That was never his problem at Virginia Tech. Maybe he's doing better in an environment that is better suited. Transparently, he probably has better players around him than he did last year. But yeah, no, Colorado State's a good team. It's a good program. I know Coach Moats has familiarity with their program from his time last year at Boise State. So hopefully he can dial it up on the, in the scouting department and give us some inside scoop. But like anybody else, man, you're watching a small sample size. It's a new roster. The head coach is new. I mean, he was in the building last year, but he's new in that chair. Yeah, it is a good team though. And to your point earlier, I think this might be the best field outside of the Players era of Feast Week. 6 of the 8 teams in this field are top 100 KenPom teams right now.
Yeah, it's a good field. Really,
it's a very good field. And Colorado State's 51, St. Mary's 26. We're at 59 right now. Wichita 92, Vandy at 14, and VCU at 56. It's a strong field. So, I'm excited to get down there. I'm excited to play Colorado State. I think I think it'll be a really good matchup. I'm curious to see how we defend Rechsteiner, and if we try to incorporate some of the things that gave us a hard time last year. But again, he's got a whole totally different supporting cast that can help him. And there were times last year where Brandon Rechsteiner was a really good player for us. And like you said at the top, he can shoot the thing. So excited for it, man. Really excited for it.
A lot of points. A lot of points going to be scored here. Like a lot of points. Colorado State's been filling it up. Again, a good pace team. This is one of those games too where like Hokie fans are gonna be like, all right, Rechsteiner, he was a headache last year. He was so up and down. He's gonna go for 30 and 8 assists or something. Like everybody's gonna feel that coming.
He's their 3rd leading scorer. He's putting up 13.5 a game. The other guard, Passarelli, he leads them at 16. So they do have some good guard play, which we saw that give us a little bit of a problem against Providence. although I don't think these guards are quite as good. I'll say this about like they're shooting the cover off the ball. I mean, they're 16th in offensive rating right now, but their opponents, they have not played anyone as good as, I don't know if they've even played anyone as good as Charlotte. Like they have played a very weak schedule. The KenPom teams they've faced are 192, 224, 218, 179.
Wow.
So they've not had a Providence. They've and they've not had a St. Joe's. And so at least according to KenPom, it's early. I'm using that as a framework. The one thing I did notice stat wise, they're 252 in 3-point percentage allowed, which is good to hear because we haven't been the strongest shooting team from distance, and they have been. So if we want to compete in this game, we're going to have to be making our threes. And so perimeter defense, I just think is going to be absolutely key against what's their mascot? The Rams?
The
Rams.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that being their stat against the 3-point shot against the level of competition that you just laid out as well is could bode well for Jaden Shoot. Like I said, maybe he'll pop off down there.
Shoot game.
Heck yeah.
If we're gonna play a game with pace, I like our chances. I like us running the floor. I also really hope this is a big Toby Lawal game. I think he could do some damage against them. But look, from a defensive perspective, I feel like we've played really good defense this year. I think we've played good defense this year. Providence had guys make some pretty good plays in that game, and the style of that game allowed for a lot of points to be scored. But I like our defense to stack up well against Colorado State. I know that they're rated really high in KenPom, but competition does play a role in that. As we saw, I mean, after we beat the daylights out of St. Joe's, we flew up like 25 spots.
Mm-hmm.
It's early in the year. It's a small sample size. So we'll see, when the ball goes in the air, it will not be our first real test, and it will be theirs. So I like that for the Hokies.
One thing I noticed about the matchup too, Ed, you said it could be a good Toby Lawal game. They have a couple good bigs, but it's not like an overwhelming large team. Like I think this is the matchup I think could serve us well from a couple of things we've already talked about. So I'm excited about that. Now I didn't do a ton of digging into St. Mary's because there's like a 50% chance we don't even play them, but that's a good team. They're a top 40, top 30 team.
All the time.
They're always
26.
good. It's a good program. Their defense is really good. And so that's why I kind of like the Colorado State matchup much better than the St. Mary's matchup, just because their defensive rating for Colorado State is not very good. It's like in the 120s. And I just think that's going to serve us better as we're still trying to get our connectivity down on the offensive end.
I worry about St. Mary's just because every year they're just really good.
Oh, yeah. I mean, St. Mary's would be a really difficult matchup.
That would be a difficult matchup. And I think if you get by Colorado State, I would be pretty surprised if that's not the team you see, right? So,
yeah, they're playing Wichita. That should be a win, although Wichita's is the dude from Radford still their coach? Greg Marshall, or is he still the coach there?
No. Maybe. Well, what I was going to say about St. Mary's is I agree. I'm not taking anything away from them. They are really good. But they've played St. Thomas, Minnesota, Chattanooga, Ohio, North Texas, and Arkansas State. So it's again like, Wichita State's going to be the first team they play that's legitimate. I mean, we've played Providence. Nobody else has played anybody in Providence's level yet. I click on St. Mary's here, or not St. Mary's. Click on Wichita State here. They're 3-1. They've played UNC Asheville, Prairie View, Loyola Chicago, and then lost by 3 to Boise State. I'm still not seeing a team as good as Providence on their, slate so far. So it's really hard to know. And yes, St. Mary's is 26th in KenPom. Is it real? We're going to find out pretty quickly. And that's
it's just they have a much better program history than.
That's the best part about Feast Week, man. You can't run and hide. If you're in one of these tournaments, you can't run and hide. You're going to have to play somebody. And I think Virginia Tech, that Providence game, being able to win that Providence game is so big for so many reasons. But maybe the least of which being the fact that we're going to walk into this Atlantis tournament more tested than some of our opponents would be.
It is Greg Marshall at Wichita State. He went to high school in Cave Spring and Roanoke. That was the connection. I said Radford, but I was thinking Roanoke, I guess. But yes, good field. I'm excited. You know what I didn't even do, because this is what's going to happen if. Let me put this on the screen while I got you guys. If we lose, we'd go to the other side of the bracket. Let me get this off the screen.
Oh, look at you go.
Still figuring this out. Here we go.
There we go.
Yeah, so you can see at the bottom of the screen if you're watching on YouTube. You go to the right if you win, and you go to the left if you lose. And so you're going to get 3 games here. And so at this point, I wanted to ask you guys, what is success in this tournament? Like, is it, if we lose to Colorado State, that's bad, or is it just get 2 wins no matter how you get them?
My opinion is you just try to go 2-1. I mean, try to go 3-0, but like 2-1, I think is success. Yeah, especially if you lose to Colorado State, I think there's probably a pretty good chance you see Wichita. We'll see, but I think there's a pretty good chance to see Wichita if you lose, and I think that's a game Virginia Tech should win. So it really kind of depends on how this shakes out. This could either be a really, really good resume building event for us. I don't think it'll like break our resume, right, if we lose a couple games here, but it could really, really boost the resume if you come out of this 2-1, especially with that Providence win into already.
Yeah, I agree. I'd say go 2-1. I think if you win that first one, that's really important for a variety of reasons. Because what I don't want you to do, right, is you lose to Colorado State, and then you beat Wichita State, and you beat USF or Western Kentucky. I mean, like, those would be beating Wichita State and one of those two. They'd be good, solid wins. But I think, in an ideal world, you knock off Colorado State, you give yourself a chance at a St. Mary's that will likely, through truth or through analytics, be a good win later in the year. I say that because St. Mary's is, always kind of a highly rated Ken Pom team that the analytics tend to like, but they're also beating the crap out of, bad Western Conference teams. So I think it depends, but I'd say overall, if you get back from the Bahamas 2-1, I think you're happy with that, and you move onward and upward. But I will say, man, I don't see a team on this list that we can't beat. So I think Virginia Tech is, definitely right up there to win this tournament. But 2-1, you feel good about yourself and you move on.
Do you think this is maybe a stupid question, but I wish we had seen just a little bit better the last 2 games heading into this, but maybe that's enough with the time off before this, where Mike can kind of get their minds right, see what went wrong. Like, maybe it'll be a blessing in disguise, because we didn't lose the game. We still won the games. We just didn't look so good the last 2. Like, do you think that's going to end up working out for us here?
I think it could. I think you saw 2 teams try to show a blueprint of how to make life harder on you, which was to shrink the game, like I talked about earlier, with possessions and pace and all that stuff. So I don't think you'll run into that as much when you run into higher level teams, because they're also going to have high level athletes who want to run the ball up the floor too. But I do think, so far that has been the way to diminish or alleviate or control a game against Virginia Tech. And if that's the only blueprint out there to limit your offense that teams have, they'll try to follow it. So now you have a full week to counteract that. And I think I trust Coach Young coaching half court offense.
So if we were to win, the game would be, I believe it'd be Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah, it's Thanksgiving Day regardless. It's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday regardless.
Okay. Afternoon. It looks like that one's on ESPN. I don't know. Well, we will find out. But stay tuned to this. I'm looking so forward to this, but just kind of being like eating a ton of food, drinking beer, and watching these basketball games, because they're all going to be good games. Like, all the games should be pretty darn good. And you'll get some college football as well, which actually leads me to my next thing here, Ed. Commentary on James Franklin. I know there's a hoops pod, but like, you haven't really had a chance to maybe talk about it. You've been talking hoops all day. Do you have any like observations or reaction to this?
It's been pretty crazy. Like, I'm not sure who you could hire if you're Virginia Tech. outside of Nick Saban that would drum up the amount of national media attention that we've seen in the last 2 days. I mean, yesterday was insane. The guy's at the airport, and then he's in Castle, and then he's on Pat McAfee, and then he's on Sports Center, and then he's on Zooms with former player. I mean, like, it's just incredible.
Did a happy hour with donors last night before the basketball game. Yeah,
just unbelievable. And then on top of that, this morning, at the first thing this morning is with the core. And
yeah, that was.
I mean, cool. I get some of that's national, some of it's local, but then you go on, like, I open my YouTube feed and it's like James Franklin. I'm like, who do I listen to first? And
yeah,
it's been pretty unbelievable. The more that comes out, whether it be from the Virginia Tech Athletics podcast that came out, I believe it's called like Level 7 that came out.
Yeah, the Level 7 thing was really good.
With the committee, and then the bits and pieces that David Cunningham had on his Twitter, and then on the Tech Sideline podcast talking about their conversations with the committee and just hearing how it all went down. And it's hard to come away from this feeling anything but really, really good about the state of Virginia Tech athletics. It gives a lot of credibility to the way they outline that plan in the Board of Visitors meetings and the plans for how they're going to govern the athletic department moving forward. And just a lot of credit to those guys on the board, and those guys who are on the committee and also on the board, the Ryan McCarthy's, the Jay Pearsons, Rakovich, for putting it all together. It's just nice to feel like the university and the athletic department is heading in the right direction. And as Coach talked about over and over and over again, the alignment from top to bottom can't be understated. And that's something that a lot of other schools out there don't have, and schools that are looking for head coaches right now don't have. I mean, LSU can't decide who's in charge. And here we are with a head coach on, whatever it is, Thursday the 20th of November before Thanksgiving, and we're having recruiting weekends. And meanwhile, the governor of Louisiana is trying to decide who to hire and fire.
So, I mean, it wasn't so long ago that we didn't know who was in charge in Merriman. I mean, that's what I kind of found interesting about the presser and Franklin's comments. Were just like, oh, so he thinks this is all on the up and up. Like, we've got perfect alignment. Like, that is not exactly the way we've thought of Virginia Tech and the admin over the last 5 years. Like, I mean, am I wrong there, Mike? Like, it just
opposite.
I would say
opposite.
that was a little shot. Hey, we got all this alignment. It's like, well, James, you're kind of new here. Like, I don't know if you know what's been going on, but
I think
maybe in the last 6 months it's changed.
I think the alignment is a newfound thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Mayhole posted on the message boards about the alignment, and it's something he's been preaching behind the scenes for a long time, and how nice it was for him personally to hear James Franklin talking about that.
That's great.
I think the alignment is a newfound thing, and I think it's coming from kind of the top down, which in this instance is the board, and the emphasis on athletics. And it just is nice to feel like our house is in order when we haven't felt that way for quite some time. And on top of that, to quote Josh Pate, whomst among us would have thought Whit Babcock and Brent Pry would be so integral and so highly talked about by James Franklin at his introductory press conference as the head coach of Virginia Tech. What world am I in?
I mean, we owe Pry a lot. Like, I know that, like, he had a very embarrassing year this year, and it went wrong, bad. And he was he wasn't maybe enemy number one, but he was one of two. And you've totally redeemed yourself to steal a line from Dumb and Dumber. Like, I mean, damn. Like, he could everything hinged on what he had to say to Franklin, basically.
Yeah.
And he had good things to say, I suppose.
Brent Pry and Whit too. I mean, like, when Franklin got up there and starts talking about how impressed he was with Whit and the relentlessness and the integrity and all the words he used, I mean, I was dumbfounded. Like,
I know, I was too.
I was too. And credit to Whit and credit to Pry for both at what I would assume were, pretty low feeling points in their careers, for not sulking and running from the problem and just sacking up and dealing with it. And for the result that they got, I mean, Pry, It's kind of got to be a really weird feeling, but credit to him and his love for Virginia Tech. And then Witt, credit to him for when everybody had him kicked out of town to help orchestrate this behind the scenes. Yeah, it's a testament to those two.
It's all very shocking, isn't it? Like
it's very impressive.
It's very shocking, and
Yeah.
we're in a good place. And you'll think of the reverse with Penn State, and we can move off of this in a second. But like the reverse with Penn State, like they don't know what they're doing right now. And
Nope.
it's
their fans on social media, man, have been ruthless.
They're bitter. They are very.
They're
bitter.
real mad. Yeah, they're real mad. I think they would have been less mad if Franklin didn't stay in the Mid-Atlantic, but now he's going to go to Virginia Tech.
He's in their backyard.
He's in their backyard taking all their recruits. It's pretty apparent why they're upset.
Big weekend for Virginia Tech this weekend.
Tough scene for Arkansas.
It's not great. Yeah, it's not great for Arkansas Twitter. I'll tell you that.
It's basketball season for Arkansas now. They're
no,
good.
But did you see Scott Van Pelt was dunking on Arkansas yesterday on basketball?
Oh, really?
Because they thought they were getting Baba Oladatun from
for
the 5-star from up in, I think it's Silver Spring.
And he was like, "You sure?"
And he is now a Maryland Terrapin, and not an Arkansas Razorback. It was a tough week for Arkansas.
That's hysterical when you consider that Van Pelt is probably a pretty big donor to Maryland.
He sits courtside every game.
That's pretty funny. All right, the ladies, guys. We haven't talked much about the ladies this year, and we're getting close to the end of this show. I just wanted to mention that our women playing basketball, they're 5-0 as well, and they've been taking it to these teams. They crushed Coastal. What was that, like a week ago? And then tonight they played Niagara. They haven't been tested the way the men have with a couple of our matchups, but they're taking care of business. And Carly is doing a little bit of everything. She's been what we expect of her, and now being one of the upperclassmen.
Yeah, Carly's been awesome. She's averaging 15 a night. Freelon, the transfer big, she's been really, really good, averaging 15 a night. And then Baker at 12, and Samaya Suffering coming back from her injury, she's averaging 10 a night. So it's been a pretty well-rounded approach from the women's team. But like you said, they haven't really played anybody, in the Power 4 or Big East. I guess you could cut that as Power 5 in basketball.
Yeah.
Quite yet. So as they get further along, we'll definitely highlight them more. But they've kind of just been beating up on people so far, and I think they could be poised to have a better year than maybe I thought. The approach is very athletic and fast versus kind of half-court offense. They're truly trying to run. And so far, it's worked out well for them, and they've scored a lot of points. So
they got BYU next week in the Virgin Islands for Thanksgiving. That'll be their first test. They got James Madison in between now and then, but that BYU game will be one to circle.
And isn't our guy at the game tonight, Ed? Is it one of our writers is at the game tonight? I know, but anyway, sonsofsaturday.com. They'll have an article up. We've been doing a ton of basketball coverage on the website, sonsofsaturday.com. You can go find everything there. In fact, Paul Patera just put out an article on the 1995 Miami game, because we have Miami this weekend, which will be a huge recruiting effort on the football front and maybe on the basketball front too. They're always entertaining at the football games, and we got one more home game left. We're wearing the Hokie Stone uniforms. It's going to be a fun day.
Why are we doing that?
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of funny because it came out of nowhere. Like, no one has been usually when there's going to be a uniform thing, you hear about it. Like, oh, they might be doing, because we heard about the Gobbler helmets, which never even happened. And then we get Hokie Stone uniforms, which I never heard a thing about.
I would have loved to save those for a game we won't be 20-point underdogs.
Like against Maryland next year or something?
Yeah, just save them for a time when they have a better chance of not being 0-2 in there.
We could win. It's going to be hard to score. It's going to be hard to score some offensive points here. But maybe the power of the Hokie Stone.
They are so clean. They are so clean.
With the power of friendship, will get us some points on offense. And that will do it for the show. Make sure you are following the Sons of Saturday on X, on Instagram. State Farm, thank you for the sponsorship. Hoops20 is the code for Rowback. Make sure to rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcast and Spotify. And until next time, go Hokies.